Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is our series on subdivisions. This is video 3. I am going to take off from where we left off on the last video. So bearing in mind, this is where we were in the last video. Let me do a screen share and be screen sharing with our AutoCAD drawing. Now, if you look here on, we left off at our last parcel, our last video, we were at this parcel and we had created a polyline all the way around this area in here. And this area I plan now on creating it within my subdivision. I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to click on, I want to click on that particular piece of ground right here, if you'll notice, so that I have highlighted the parcel itself or the polyline. And I'm going to start out here by using the parceling tools in AutoCAD. This can be found in, or in Civil 3D. This can be found in the Create Design tool. And I'm going to come up into parcels. And I'm going to start out now by creating a parcel from objects. I click on the parcel from objects and I get the dialog box, that the create parcels from objects dialog box. I'm going to start by answering some of the questions or looking at some of the defaults and deciding whether or not I want to change or add some of these to this. Now, I know that much of this is quite much to take in, but you get more experienced with it the more you use this, and you'll find out which of these turn on, turn off, and features is good for your particular situation. I'm going to start out with the Site tool. If you remember earlier, we didn't use the Site tool earlier in our drawings, and now it's time to actually integrate our Site tool. The default in here is Site 1. I am going to choose to create a new site, and I'm going to call this one here, for my purposes or my planning purposes, Block 1. So I'll start by typing that in at Block 1, and I'll say apply and OK. And now you'll notice there's Block 1. I also have my parcel style. In this situation, here's my options. I'm going to keep it for property. Here are my parcel layers and the segment layers. Also, that it is going to put the area on the parcel, or you could put some labels within your parcel. I do want a label on mine simply because I want to know about how much area is contained within that. So I'm going to click over here and I am going to go on over to my options and see what options I can have. Notice right here, I could have the name and the area, name of the area, the name, area, and perimeter. In this situation, I can have the name, square footage, excuse me, and acres. Parcel name, parcel number, and standard. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the name of the parcel, square footage, and acres. I'm going to click that one. Also notice here that I could automatically add segment labels. In this situation, I don't want to label my lots because I'm going to take this larger parcel area here and cut it into smaller lots later. So I'm going to reserve my labels for future lots or future sets of lots. Also want to draw to your attention right here, this checkbox right here, which says erase existing entities. The beauty about this is if you're going to try this multiple times, you're going to always want to click this on, because if not, your bearings and the things that are tagged with your parcel creation tools will then always stay on there. And this way, every time you update or change, it erases the old ones prior to that. So as a general rule of thumb, I like to keep that one on. So I now will progress to the OK tab. And if you notice, my bold line has went to a thin line. And what I can look at over here off to the side is there is the area of this entire parcel, or this entire area that's set up along here. That's particularly important. If you'll notice right here, there's 16.20 acres, or looks like 705,000 feet. square feet in this parcel. So what we are going to do now is decide to cut this particular area into lots. And that's going to be our next feature. I'm going to do a couple of things before we go on right here. If you remember right, earlier I had created these sort of lot lines here that help me do my planning tools. And I'm going to go in right now and I'm going to turn those off. Well, I think I might reserve and turn that off here in a little bit. For now, I'm going to go ahead and start the parceling process. So I'm going to start this process by going over here to parcel. And instead, this time, I'm going to go to the parcel creation tools. The parcel creation tools is this bar right here. Now, the parcel creation tools opens up this dialog box for me. Now, this is particularly important because this sets out the features in which I am going to be doing my parcel creation with. In this situation, I would like to create my parcels here accordingly. So I'm going to come out, and if you notice some of the features here is, here's my minimum area. And in my particular square footage, right, in my particular situation, if you remember, I said that our client wanted us to do either 1 or 2 acre sites. So if you remember, I'd have 16 acres in here. So I could have 8 2 acre sites, 16 1 acre sites. There's some change in between there that I would have to accommodate for. So what I think I'm going to plan to do here is make 1.5 acre sites. So this is just something I'm choosing to do here. So I type in the word 1.5 acre here, and notice I put it in there with no commas there. The minute I click that, I end up with the 1.5 acres converted into square footages here. Because AutoCAD will always work in the square footages. It may give you the answers or give you results or display the information in acres if you call it, but it's always going to be working in the square footages. Right here it shows the minimum lot frontage. The reason I kept my parcels over here on the side, if you remember, a 2 acre parcel, in order for it to be square, was about 295 feet on one side. A 1 acre parcel was about 206 feet on the side. And then we also did these rectangular parcels, which were longer and narrower, and they were 200 feet on one side by 425 foot deep. So what I'm going to plan on doing here is I want a fairly sizable lot frontage. So here I'm going to say I would like to put 200 foot lot frontages. So I'm going to say 200 foot there. Now, since our parcels are fairly large, I am not going to put any sort of offset or setback requirements on here. This is something you could do if your parcels were smaller or you had some sort of widths and depths minimums that you wanted. That's normally very important if you're concerned about buildable area on your sites. You may have to have some offsets or some things like that. You want to make sure that your site will accommodate the construction of a home site or whatever would be on the property. 1.5 acre lots are really very large, so therefore that's not a consideration for us in this situation. So I'm going to leave that alone. Also, if you notice right here, the maximum depth, I think that's important. The maximum depth is how far away from the beginning toward the back of the lot do we want to go. Notice right here, the maximum is 500 feet. Well, bearing in mind over here, remember we said that a 2 acre lot needed to have, if it was 200 feet across the front, well then it needed to be 425 foot deep. Well, obviously we wouldn't want a lot to be larger or longer than 500 feet here. So I am going to just leave that 500 as my default. But if I were wanting it to be something shorter, I could in fact set that down. Now, if you also remember when we looked at our overall parcel length, it was 16.2 some acres, I think. And what we do is that 0.2 acres is going to be a problem for us because we have to decide what we're going to do with that remaining acreage. In this situation, we can choose AutoCAD will allow us to handle that. And by coming over here into the remainder distribution, I'm going to say I want it to be automatic. And here's what I want to do is I can open up some options here. One, I can create a parcel from the remainder. I can just leaving a little 2-acre piece down there. That doesn't make sense. I'd like to distribute that. I could leave all the remainder in the last parcel and make one parcel larger, or I can distribute the remainder accordingly. I'm going to choose to distribute the remainder accordingly. So that being said, I'll go ahead and leave that. Now, coming up here, if you'll notice, the next step, AutoCAD is asking for me to define the parcel that I'm going to create. So I'm going to come up here and I need to pick on my parcel. Okay, so once I'm set here, I go into the parcel creation tools. Right here, I'm going to use the line light process, say create, and now I have the area that I'm going to create here. I am going to create parcels, and I am going to stop the video right there.